I hope you're doing well wherever you are. There's a word in my spirit that I thought I should do a video once again. Those of you who have been missing my lives, I will hopefully start soon. In the meantime, there's a word I received concerning embarrassment. Embarrassment. I have found it to be a gateway that puts a lot of people to shame. When people are embarrassed about something that happened to them, particularly in the past, they have shame associated with whatever that event was. Whether it was something traumatic, whether it was a mother or a father's words that were put upon a child that they have carried throughout their lives, whether it's something physical, even spiritual. If many of you go to churches, let me turn around. If many of you go to churches and you have found abuse in the churches that you've gone to, some kind of trauma, and there's a shame associated with it because you feel as though you were at fault, that whatever happened was your fault, your responsibility, your guilt, your shame, and sometimes even say that you deserved it for being at the wrong place at the wrong time by your own doing. And this shame opens up scars that never shut or close off. And spiritually, what happens, as I've been determining, this is a spiritual word, is that the enemy, the devil himself, uses these shame gateways as a way to get into your spirit so that you do not find peace within yourself. You find yourself to be responsible for whatever has happened, and you associate yourself with whatever that event was. The pain associated with it, the lack associated with it, the feelings, the emotions, all of it end up being an attack to some extent. And because everything is happening in your mind, you can't escape it. So you become that pain, you become that shame, you become everything that is associated with that event beyond the victory that you succeeded in coming out of it, that you're still alive, that you are still you, that you can still move on. But that shame and the pain associated with that shame keeps bringing you back to that point of view, to that place where you are hurt. You cannot get away from it. And that in itself becomes a gateway for spirits, because with the shame comes the pain we spoke about. With the pain associated with that, that's when the depression comes, with thoughts that you can't escape because it's an event that you can't forget. With that lack of emotion, the Spirit is telling me, you become emotionally drained, or you don't allow yourself to feel emotions anymore because of that event, whatever it was. You use it as a way to shut down your feelings and your responses, and you just become a shell, a former shell that you cannot break out of. That is a spirit, and that is a stronghold, is what I'm trying to get at. That event created a stronghold, and that stronghold is controlling your life. You can't live your life the way that you want to. You're not happy as you should be. You're not as excited about things as you should be. The joy of the Lord is not in you as it ought to be. So overall, there's just a lot of pain, and associated with that gateway, the pain, the feeling of being rejected, the feeling of not being enough, the feeling that you deserved it, the feeling that you don't deserve more, you don't deserve better. That gateway is a gateway that you need to close. Shame is a gateway that is responsible for many people's lack of progress because they don't feel like they deserve better. I'm trying to remind you now that you do deserve better, that whatever happened to you should not identify you, should not bring you down, should not bring you back to the place of darkness. My time is closing here spiritually, so I need to finish this word. You need to break out of that shame. Stop feeling shameful about it. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Be ashamed of the people who permitted, that is, they allowed those things to happen, or they were the ones who caused the thing to happen. They're the ones who should be in shame, not you. So in this word, I'm asking you to remove your shame. Remember, and shame goes as far back as childhood. So try to remember in your childhood what brought you shame. What brought you shame and what changed you as a result of that shame that you thought or you experienced or you went through or you perceived. How did it shape you? How did it change you? How did it stunt your growth? This thing can go back as far back as childhood, even in your teen years, and even as an adult, you can find something or do something that perhaps you've been to prison and you're ashamed of it. Perhaps you came out of an abusive relationship and you're ashamed of it. Perhaps your children have gone wayward, are on drugs, or are being promiscuous and you're ashamed of it. Or perhaps just the family in general look down on you and you're ashamed of it. That shame is a blockage for you spiritually. You can't approach God with shame and expect Him to see His child beaming, because you'll be in a place of doubt, you'll be in a place of drowning. From His point of view, you will look as if you're drowning in your own sorrow, in your own mind, because again, this thing is in the mind at the end of the day. So I'm asking you to put your shame away. Whatever thing that you feel you should be ashamed of, the devil will use that as a point of reference to say, look what you did in the past. How can God accept you, or how can you be better? He will use that as an attack. So I'm asking you, put your shame off, put your shame away. You don't deserve it. Forgive yourself as God has forgiven you for whatever has happened. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Do not be ashamed. No one is looking at you with more shame than the shame that you carry on yourself. Many people forget. Many people have their own problems, their own shames to deal with. But you will keep reminding them of that shame just by bringing it up in the way that you carry yourself. So you are actually creating a way for people to see you. If you come out of this thing, people will see the change in you and they will see the light inside of you. But if that thing keeps bringing you shame, brings you back to the place of shame, whether you came from an abusive family as well, or whether your father was an alcoholic or a drunkard or an abuser, and you still carry that shame with you, you will become a part of that shame, and that will be a gateway for people to also see that shame in you. And so the cycle will continue. So you need to break away from the cycle. Break away from the shame. Break away from the shackles. Break away from that poison in your own mind, because all of these things, scenarios are in your mind. You need to break away from it. Yes, it happened physically, but now the physical is no longer around you. You're carrying it in your mind as a memory. So it is in your mind. And the mind is something that you can shape through your own thoughts, through your own meditation. So I'm asking you to break away from that shame. Remove that shame. Remove that guilt. Remove that unforgiveness of yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, and allow yourself to move on. That is my word for today. Be blessed.